All right, so once again, we said we're going to start with the expense account. You're like my little character. You see that burger man? Right, remember the burger man, right? There will be an explanation why he's storming our classroom. So we're starting with the expense, and the format for the expense account in your books, you would see this as your expense account and this part shaded. Now this first part, and once again, the video goes into more detail, the explanation or the lead up to what it is. In your first year of trading, you would not have any brought down or carried down brought down figures, which would be figures from a previous year. So that is why this top part only has 2 items on the debit side. If you would notice, the 2 items on the debit side would be bank and cash and accruals carried down. Explanation: every time you pay the particular expense account, for example, let's assume this is your rent expense. Every time you pay this rent account, it goes on the debit side of your rent account. So if you paid by check, your detail would be bank, and you would put how much you paid in terms of rent. If it is cash, your detail will be cash, and you would put how much you paid in terms of the rent. If at the end of the period there is an accrued rent amount, that also goes on your debit side. Not going to go into the explanation, but for those who were here last term, you would remember that you add accruals, AA. So therefore, adding means increasing. And if you add accruals to increase in the account, means you would put it on the debit side. So that is a simple explanation. Reason why it's a carried down figure, it's a closing figure. It means you are owing at the end of the year, which means that it is going towards the next year. You are going to be starting the next year owing that amount of money. So that is why you would see on this side, and we will go into more detail after, you will have your accrual brought down. So this is your closing figure for this year, and your closing figure for this year becomes your opening figure for the next year. Don't worry yet if you're still not getting it, because we're going to be going over it over and over again, right? Same thing for the prepaid amount. Your prepaid rent at the end of a period goes on this side. For those that were here last term, we lessed prepayments. Less means you're decreasing. What do you do when you decrease expense? The opposite of increase, decrease. That is why it's on the credit side. Okay, so that's the explanation. Go to the video if you want more details, but that's the explanation. The end result, it goes on this side. And then you have your income statement, which would be the amount of the expense incurred. Okay, so for this first year, you have 4 items: cash or bank, accrual carry down, income statement, prepaid carry down. For every other period after the first period, this is what your format is going to look like. You're going to end up with 3 things on the debit side and 3 things on the credit side. And this is what we are going to learn for this class. And what we do is we try to have made it easier for you to remember it. Some years ago, you know, I like my acronyms, like I ate baked chicken and stuff like that, because it helps me. And I think that it helps you guys to remember a format, especially in the heat of the moment. So PAP, you're not going to be learning crap. You're going to be learning PAP. For the expense account, a way that we remember the format would be PAAP. P stands for prepayment or represents prepayment. A represents accrual. And the reason why there are 2 of them is because you have an carry down or brought down, sorry, you have a brought down or a beginning figure, an opening figure for prepayment, and you have a carry down or closing figure for prepayment. So you see here, you have an opening P and you have a closing P. And the same thing goes for the A's. You have a double A because you have an opening accrual figure or brought down. That is the amount at the beginning of the year. And you have a closing figure at the end of the year. Right? So P, A, P. No matter how you look at it, P, A, P. N enters the reason why have the bigger. So as we said, it's PAP. P, A, P. P, A, P. But in the expense account, you do not just have your prepayments and accruals. Remember what was here before? Anybody can quickly just unmute and say if they remember what is on this side.
Cash, bank.
Cash or bank, excellent. And anybody remembers what was on this side?
Income statement.
Excellent, the income statement. So that is why I just added this one now, the burger, because we can do online classes and we have the visuals and stuff like that. If you want, I can do my bad drawing for you guys to feel like you're in school again. I will do that probably at the end of the class when we're doing some explanations again or revision, right? But you know your burger is not just your bread. So the account is not just the PAAP. You have the middle part, which would be cash and bank and your income statement. And the cash and bank goes on this side and the income statement goes on that side. So all you have to do to remember your format, PAAP, and then you have your meat in the middle, which would be cash and bank on this side, income statement on this side. Just moving ahead, just a slight bit for your revenue account, you just switch them. Back to the present, we back to expense account. Once you learn your expense account, you know your revenue account because you just switch, right? So pay particular attention to learning this one, and then you will be able to get the revenue account really, really, really easy. Okay, so once again, last time, PAAP with cash and bank in the middle. Every time you pay, every single time you pay whatever the expense is, it goes on this side, and the income statement is usually the last figure that you do. So this is what it's going to look like. See if you could remember it as the burger. PAAP, is that simple enough for everybody with your cash and bank on the debit side in the middle and your income statement in the middle? I hope you guys got that. So when you start your expense account, whatever the expense account is, you put the name of the business, you put the specific name, and then you can jot down at the top, PAP. So for the month of January, the first thing you will put is the year, is 2020. January 1st, because that is the beginning of the period. And what is the first thing in your PAP? It will be prepaid. And since it's your opening figure, it will be prepaid brought down, and whatever the figure is for that. Don't worry, we're going to do some examples. On the next side, January 1st, because once again, the A is your beginning figure. So you're going to put accrued brought down and whatever the amount of the accrual is at the beginning. Now, not every time you're going to have all of these, right? But you're learning the format, and if they don't have something, you can put a dash. If you are, if you want to just put PAAP with cash and bank and income statement, you can do that and just put a dash or a zero if they don't have it, okay? So we're doing it like the PAP. the next figure would be your A. Remember, we did the P, we did the A. We move on to the next A, and that A is your closing figure. So you would have it as your carry down, whatever accruals there are at the end of a period. That is the amount you would put. And then for the last one, which is PAP P, another closing figure, you put prepaid carry down and you put it there. And then to complete, in the middle, you notice that the dates that I have here, whatever the date is for the payment. If they give you a date for the payment, if they give you more than one, you put each one. So whatever the date is, that is the date that is going to go here. Just moving back, your beginning figures will always be a beginning of a period. So the first of something. If you're doing it for February, it will be the 1st of February. If you're doing it for March, it will be the 1st of March. This will always be the ending of the period. If you're doing it for a month, it will be the 31st or the 30th or the 28th or 29th, depending on which year it is for February, right? If it is a year, it will always be the end of the year. If it's a calendar year, it will be the 31st of December. But these dates is always beginning dates for the top and ending dates for the bottom. And then for cash and bank, it will always be whatever the date is for the payment. And you will put cash or bank accordingly. If it is check, it will be bank. If it is cash, it will be cash. And then the last thing would be your income statement, which is always at the end of a period. Okay? After you have done your burger, you've done your PAAP with your cash and bank and your income statement in the middle. You don't usually have your income statement amount, so you have to find it out. And you will total. We're going to go through this in more detail when we're doing the example, okay, guys? You will total it, you will put your totals, and then you find your income statement. And this is it for your main format, PAAP, cash and bank, income statement in the middle, and your two totals here. So just look at that. Imagine your burger. Right. To get extra marks, what we usually do in accounting is we don't ever just end on the closing figures. If you remember when we did T accounts, we have to go and bring down our balances one time. So when you finish this, you can feel great because you have gotten the majority of the marks. But if you want that extra, what you're going to do is bring it down. And I don't know if you guys remember, but if your carry down is on this side, your brought down will be on this side. So for example, your accrual carry down was on this side. So you go to this side. You know why it's February 1st? Because this is your beginning date. You ended on January 31st with this accrual, and you bring it down on the next side at the beginning date, which is February 1st, right? So you start off with your accrual on this side. Reason why an accrued expense is a liability. If you want that in more explanation, go to the video, right? And then you do the same thing for the prepayment. You go on the opposite side. So you have your prepayment on the side. You will go February 1st, prepaid brought down, and you put it here. Notice you end up back with your P, A. And then for February, you will just go through the format again. So you start off with your P and your A, and then you would put your cash in your income statement, and then you will put the other A and the P. And that is always your format for your expense account. So I think that you guys are itching to write? Yeah. I'm sure you guys are itching to write. I think you would only need about 5 minutes, 5 glorious minutes to attempt this question. Right. So what would you do? The first thing you would do is you would put the name of the business, which we do have a name of the business here. Didn't put that. And then you will put utility expense or utility account, and you will drop your T account. So can you guys do that quickly now? That is 20 seconds. Go. Drop your T account. All right, so you should have a chicken scratch looking something like this, right? Where you have utility expense, date details, and you can leave out the folio for now and date details, debit side and credit side. All right. PAP, right? So you start with prepaid, brought down. Before we do that, you have 2 columns here. Which one would be your brought down or opening figures? Would it be January 1st or January 31st? That's a real nice, easy question, people.
January
Exactly, January 1st. So here is my very neat, is not chicken scratch account. And January 1st will be your opening or your brought down figures, nice and easy. And your closing figures would be 31st. So the one that we are starting with first, as it's, well, expense account, PAP, would be your prepaid. So slowing down a little bit, you know, you put the year, the first thing that you put is 2019. So hope you guys keeping up with me, 2019. And the beginning date is January 1st. So you're gonna put 1st of January. And in PAP, what do you start with? Prepaid. I am going to leave you guys now 3 minutes to attempt this account. And I am right here if you need to ask any questions. So you start with the beginning figures, and the first thing in PAP would be prepaid and your opening figure. So you will put the 1st of January, prepaid brought down. It is understood that it is prepaid utilities. So you don't have to put that, you just put the prepaid brought down, and that will be okay enough, right? So prepaid brought down, and how much is your prepaid brought down? $200. Easy as that, right? In your PAP, was the next step. On the other side will be the A, which is the accrued, and since you're dealing with your opening figures, you would look to see, are there any accrued utility expense? And yes, there is. So you will put the $50 under credit, diet. What's the next thing that comes? You can either do it as in the PAAP, or you can, knowing that you have your middle part, you can go on to do the middle part one time, which would be your cash and bank. So you will check to see, they would either give you it in a statement or it might be in the cash book, which you would see in an example I'm going to give you from the workbook. But you're looking to see if you find any utilities paid, and you guys seeing this under here, utilities paid for January, and it was paid on the 20th, $900. So you will come here and you will put the date, which is the 20th of January, and the amount that was paid, $900. Diet. Okay, so the next side in the middle, you will have, and it's always the ending date, 31st of January, in this case, since we're doing it for January, 31st of January. And if you remember what comes, you see it down below there, income statement. Now the amount that goes into your income statement is the expense incurred. If you look at your question, you're not seeing anything that says expense incurred or the expense that you for the utilities for the month of January. You're not seeing anything like that. So which means we do not have a figure as yet for the income statement. So we just leave that blank for the time being and we move on with our PAP burger, right? So we already have the P and the A. So according to PAP, you now have the other A and P, and remembering these are your closing figures. So you would put 31st of January, that's your closing date. And the A part, you're looking for any accrued utility. And when you look, you would see that, yes, we have an accrued utility of $100. So you're going to put down the $100. That's it. And you have one last thing to do from the plugging in terms of your PAP. The last P, which is your closing figure. Yes, we do have prepaid expense. And remember, because it's your closing figure, it is carried down. So you would put, it's 300. You would just put your 300 there. And this is your PAP with your bank and cash and income statement in the middle. Did you guys get that easily up to this part? Any questions up to this part? If you made any mistakes, do you know what your mistake was? Can I move on? Everybody good?
Yes,
Yeah, miss.
Cool.
Yeah, ma'am.
So what's the next step? The next step is going to have to be to work out your income statement amount. So if you remember, what you do now is you're going to balance it. And to balance it, you're going to put your totals. So usually I would have told you guys to skip a line, right? You can still skip a line, but in this case, you don't have to. Reason why you don't have to is because we have everything there. There's no extra thing that has to go in to our format. So you can just put your total boxes underneath, just like I have, making sure that they are in the same line, right? Just remember that they must always be in the same line. Then you look at the side that has the greater total. Which side has the greater total? It will be this side.
The debit side.
Excellent. So you add up the debit side, and what total do you get there? Anybody?
1,200.
1,200. Excellent. Next step, you go on this side, and what figure do you put here? Do you put $350 or do you put something else?
The 1,200.
Very good.
Is there
Wow.
350? The funny income statement.
Oh, yes.
50.
Yes. You have to do what?
Minus the 350 from
Excellent. Excellent. So I hope everybody got that one. But to find out the missing figure, to make this side also total the 1,200, it will be the 1,200 minus the 350, right? Whatever is on that side. And that answer will be 850. Did everybody get that? And if they didn't, you'll know where you went wrong. Okay, so once again, what you do is you total the debit side, is usually the debit side, because this is the missing figure. Total this, whatever total you get, you put it in both total areas, and then you minus the amount on this side to get your missing figure. And if you want to just double check to make sure that you have the correct thing, you would add up all these things, and it's supposed to add up to the 1,200. If it doesn't, it means you made a mistake or your calculator made a mistake, right? Get rid of that calculator, which will be your phone. Right. So are we finished though? We done?
No,
No, miss.
No. What we had to do?
you gotta carry down the balance. The
Good.
prepaid.
So the prepaid, so whichever order, just make sure that whatever the prepaid is on this side, so you start back with your PAP, in other words. Prepaid, and it's the same amount that you carry down. There can't be any different figure. It means something real wrong. So it was 300 prepaid at the end. So you bring it across on this side, 300. And then the last thing that you do would be the accrual. Notice date, it's always the opening figure for the next month. And this is your answer. And this is your first example. And we have another one for you. I think this should be easy for you, and we use easy examples in terms of like the calendar year. So a calendar year is from January to December, and everybody knows what the opening date is for a calendar year. 1st of January, and the closing date would be 31st of December. So that nice and easy. The problem only comes if it is not a calendar year, meaning that, like, for example, the academic year. The academic year starts in September and therefore ends in August for the following year. But we're keeping it nice and easy for now. We will do another one where the dates are a little bit more difficult, but just want to point out that okay, everybody's seeing the question there, right? What do you notice about the two dates? There is no 1st of January. So just told you that the 1st of January is the beginning date. Yet in this question, they did not give you any 1st of January. First question I want to ask you guys, which year do you think we are doing the expense account for?
2019.
2019. So having said that, what column is showing you the opening figures or the brought down figures for the expense account?
2018.
That'll be 2018.
1st of December.
Good.
Because it was the 1st of January.
Excellent. So the point is that the ending figure, remember we did that for the prepaid and the accrued. You get your opening figure from the previous year, and your closing figure always becomes your opening figure for the following year. Right? That makes sense? So it would be this automatically, the closing figure for the 31st of December 2018 automatically becomes the figures for the 1st of January 2019. That's the only thing in this question that, now doing my animation. Which of the two dates? And you guys got it correct one time. Don't need to go into the explanations for you. Anybody that needs the explanations, once again, in the video, right? All the explanations. But for you guys, you are now going to get the same 3 minutes, well, 4 minutes since you have to drop the account. You're now going to do the rent expense account for 2019. So you're doing it for a year now. Remember to put in your dates and stuff like that. And because it's an expense account, you're using PAP. All right. All right, first thing would be the year, which is 2019. Second thing, you would be dealing with the opening figures, which we established as that column, but the date you're going to put is the 1st of January. PAP would be prepaid brought down. You check to see it is the 700. So 700. Then the next one will be the A, 1st of January, accrued. You check to see, yes, there is. If you didn't have any, you could just put the dash, okay, or the 0. But we have of 250. And then in between, as we said, there's the bank or the cash. So you check and you would have seen that. Right, so they said rent paid for 2019, 3,600. Can anybody quickly tell me what dates they used or if they just left it blank?
Miss, I leave it. I just put 29. I leave it blank.
2019.
You just put 2019?
Yeah, miss.
Okay,
Yeah, I didn't have a like a
so
specific.
whenever they don't have a specific date, put the end of the period. Cool? So if they said it is for 2019, because you already have 2019 up here. So everything that comes under this is for 2019. So to put 2019 again is kind of repetitive. What actually has to be here would be a date in terms of the day and the month. So if they don't give you one, you just put whatever is the ending period. So if you were doing it for the month of January, it would have been 31st of January. Since it's for the year, you just put the 31st of December. So you guys learn something new, right? When they don't give you a date and it's for the year, you just put the ending date for that particular year. And that is 3,600. Next side in your Papaga 31st of December income statement, they did not give you that amount. So you're going to have to leave that for the time being. So you did your P, you did your A, is the next A, which is your closing figure. And that will be 31st of December, accrued, PAA, accrued carry down. You check to see, is there any? Yes, there is 300. So you put it N, and then your last one, your last P, prepaid carry down. You check to see, is there any prepaid rent? 800. And you plug it in there. And that's the first part. You feel good about yourself. Next part is to find out your income statement. So you do your totals. The debit side will be the greater total. So you add up your 700, your 3,600, and your 300. And you will see 4,600 is your total. Put it on both sides. And to find your missing figure, minus your 800 plus your 250. So that is 1,050. And you should have gotten, please correct me if I happen to be wrong, but you should have gotten 3,550 as your income statement. Is everybody good with that? Did everybody get the same answer as me? Are we all correct? Any mistakes? No.
I got the same answer, miss.
Excellent, thank you. Is that Harrison?
This is Aidan, miss.
Aidan, right? All right, and we're not finished there. What you do? 2020 is the next year. Because we are doing a different year, you cannot just go and put 1st of January, because then you would be kind of repeating. You remember what I said before? Whatever year is up here, which is the year directly above the dates, that is actually the year for all of the dates. So because this is your ending, 31st of December 2019, what is your beginning date? It will be 1st of January 2020. So because of the change in year, you're going to have to put 2020 before you put the 1st of January. I hope everybody is clear with that one, because sometimes you'll get all antsy over the fact that you don't know what year, but it's as simple as that. What is the year? You put it on the year, and then every date afterwards for that would be. So this is the 1st of January 2020, and it will be your prepaid on this side, since it was on the opposite side. Prepaid, 800, and then you do the same thing for the accrual. You have your year 2020, 1st of January, accrued, brought down, and it was 300. Cool. So you can take your snap of that, your screenshot, sorry, or your picture, or whatever you want to do in terms of that for your answer. For those that don't understand, once again, it's there on a video, and I actually have working in that video for you if you want to see the working clearer. And your activity. So this is going to be your homework, and we actually ending us here. The activity, page 213, 6.2. But don't worry, don't get freaked out. I don't want you to do the top one yet. Okay, because the format, how they phrase the question is different than what we did today. So what you're going to do is number 2, J. Matthews. You guys seeing it there? So it's J. Matthews, which is the one below. And what you would see, just like our example, there are the 2 columns. They gave you 31st of December, but you know which one is going to become your opening balances. It will be the ending for the previous year. So you have your columns, and you are required to do 3 accounts. It would be rent, insurance, and electricity. So you see page 215, not that it matters in terms of order, as long as you have the name of the business, and the name of the business is J. Matthews. Is everybody seeing? So you're going to start with J. Matthews. Don't worry about the double line. Just put J. Matthews. Name your 3 accounts. You're naming one rent. You're naming the other one insurance. And you're naming the 3rd one electricity. And then you are going to do those 3 accounts according to PAP, right? The PAP burger, the PAAP, with the cash and bank on the debit side in between, and the income statement on the credit side in between. Where would you find your payments? Cash book. I hope everybody is seeing the mouse. It's the cash book. And what you would see is, like, for example, rent paid. Notice you have 2 dates for your rent paid, which would mean, do not put it as a total, which would mean your burger is going to get a little extra meat in between in terms of the cash side. For the rent account, you are going to put May 5th, bank, 1,400. And then underneath, you're also going to put October 20th, bank, 1,700. You'll understand, right? So for your rent account, you're going to have on your debit side, giving you a hint, you're going to have P, bank, and then accrued. Got it? And then on the credit side, you will have the normal 3 things. So I hope you guys understand that. But as I said, you're starting it now. You can leave class and come back on, join anytime. But this is going to be due by the end of the day, actually, so that we can go through it tomorrow. Please God. Because I have you tomorrow, please God. Yes, I do. Okay?
Oh, miss, for the prepaid rent and accrued rent, there's 2 blank spaces. What does that mean?
For the question,
Yes, miss.
let me just pull it up here. Okay, that means that there is no closing figure for prepaid rent.
Oh, okay.
So remember, each question does not have to have all 4 in the PAP, but that is just a way of you checking it.
Okay, thanks, miss.
No problem.